Welcome, everyone. GPO Plus Inc. It trades on the OTCQB under the symbol GPOX. It's a leading manufacturing and disrupting distribution company of consumer products for convenience stores and specialty retailers, which includes gas stations, smoke shops, and vape shops. Happy to welcome Brett Pojunius on the show today. Now, Brett, we last spoke at the Emerging Growth Conference in September. So for those who are new to GPOX, can you tell us a little bit about your company?
Sure. Thanks, Anna, for having me on the show again. I appreciate it. Man, so much has happened since September. So much has happened. Well, let's start with GPO Plus. We're a product development, manufacturing, and distribution company. What we do is we focus on specialty retailers. That's, as you just mentioned, your gas stations, convenience stores, bodegas, smoke shops, and vape shops. And what we like to do is partner with these specialty retailers, and we want to solve their problems. We want to find out, where are your pain points and what can we do to help? And so it all started from when we acquired a company last year, about this time last year, Betterment Retail Solutions down in Lubbock, Texas. And they had one of their biggest customers, which is Yesway Allsup. It's the 12th largest convenience store chain in the country, fastest growing. And they had a deal in place with them where they had an acrylic display box next to a cash register that was selling a curated product mix of CBD-related products. Well, we've fundamentally changed a lot of that business model. We've added more product categories, and we've actually named the box. It's called the Feelgood Shop Plus. And we've deployed that now to over 570 locations. And we've increased the product mix, and we're always constantly changing. We're following different trends, but our goal naturally is to do two things. One, take all the guesswork out from the for the retailers. We understand the industry, so we find the best-in-class products that we feel are going to be best for that specialty retailer. And we know all the rules and regulations, especially anything for age-gated products, whether it's disposable nicotine vape pens or recreational hemp products. And we know what jurisdictions we can put products in, so on and so forth. So we take all the guesswork out. We even get a legal opinion as to what the laws are for each different jurisdiction. So we service that on a weekly basis through our distribution arm called Distro Plus. And we do something that's kind of unique. It's called DSD, direct to store delivery. We take that one step further and we call it our white glove DSD service. And what that means is if you look at some of these big companies, the Hackneys, the McLeans, they've been around for over 100 years. They have over 250,000 accounts, 30,000 employees. Well, they, for the most part, will take this big semi truck and they'll go and they'll drop off a pallet. Not all of them, but most of them will drop off a pallet. Now, the onus is on the general manager, the store team to take that apart, put all the products into inventory, then restock all the shelves, and then keep your fingers crossed that the store managers know how to order, when to order, so on and so forth, so they're completely replenished with products. What we do is very different. We go in, and first off, we have some fantastic real estate on the counter right next to the register. We have our Feelgood Shop Plus, which has our product mix, our curated product mix of all the the products for that space. And then on the other side of the register, we have a 100 stick display case for Mr. Vapor. And so we go in, and our Distro Plus team drivers will look at everything, make sure everything's where it's supposed to be. Then we go to the HBA section where we have the top shelf there as well, the health and beauty accessories. That's where you find like your 2 packs of Tylenol PM or Pepto-Bismol, chapstick, etc. We have the top shelf, and we put healthy products, wellness products on that shelf, and we're constantly changing that product mix and testing and reiterating and finding. Again, same thing, best-in-class products that we're focusing on margin maintenance and margin efficiency. So we're trying to always improve margin by first off, by doing better negotiations with vendors, and then finding the best products for those specialty retailers. So that's the DSD service. We go in, we do everything. The only reason and the only time that a store manager needs to lift a finger is to sign off on our technology to say that we showed up, here's what the inventory count was. So we do all the heavy lifting and the ordering. So that's kind of our business in a nutshell. Then we create those sales channels, and then we use those sales channels to put our products that we manufacture, license, or own through those sales channels. And of course, that's where we realize the highest margins.
Perfect. So that DSD model is your differentiating factor from your competitors. So talk a little bit about this recent update that you just put out, and talk about the revenues and the increasing revenues at that.
Yeah, we've been doing very, very, very well. I'm very, thankful and excited for the team. It's always challenging when you acquire a company because, there's always sins of the past that you have to deal with. There's understanding the corporate culture, trying to bring that culture into our culture. And so there's been a lot that's been going on. But the one area that we've been just really excelling at is increasing the revenue. When we started down this path, we were on a track for about $400,000 a year in sales. Now we are all, visionary types, and we can see the forest through the trees. Well, now we just had our biggest week, over 100,000 in sales. We're on track for next year with, if we do nothing else, over 6.5 million. But we had a very, very good NACS show. NACS is kind of like the big industry conference, convention, workshop. It stands for National Association of Convenience Stores. And we met with, some of our top customers there. We've got a couple of new customers that we're courting and working on. But yeah, we have done a really good job, not only securing these big, customers, we call them the anchor customers, but now we're trying to figure out, again, what problems can we solve? Oh, you have an issue with cleaning supplies. No problem. We'll handle it for you. You have a problem with office supplies, like the receipt tape, this, that, or the other. They can't run out of these essentials. We're there every week. It just makes sense. So we're increasing the offering that we give to these customers.
Fantastic. Brett, you also mentioned a focus on the last 15 to 20% of products for your retail partners. So explain that focus.
Okay, so here's what we found out. And again, we're relatively new to this space, and we do have some great advisors around us. But what we're realizing through the relationships that we're developing and always continuing to develop with these big convenience store chains is this. If you look at the products that they have in their store, about 85% of all those products, they're represented and distributed by just a handful of distributors, 5, 6, 7. That last 15 to 20%, and in some cases, that could be 40 vendors. And so when you talk to the category managers of all these different convenience store chains, they'd rather work with less people that they can trust than more people, because it's just, it's less work for them, and they're getting the level of service. And again, they trust us because we do all the heavy lifting, we do all the research, we're constantly watching trends, as I mentioned. So we're doing all the heavy lifting for them. And so we're kind of like a dream come true in most of these cases. So what our focus is, and we don't even know what this niche is called, we haven't figured it out, but it's that last 15 to 20% where it's completely highly fragmented, although it's all experiencing rapid growth because those product categories are increasing, month over month. So we're saying, how can we go in and make the retailer's life more easy by finding all these different products? We'll go out and negotiate the best deal. Heck, in some cases, we might go and manufacture a comparable product, and then we take over that. So now the specialty retailers can focus in on what they need to by dealing with less vendors. So that I don't know what we're going to call this niche yet. We haven't put a good brand on it.
Niche. That's a great place to be. So I know from our last conversation, GPOX, it's a technology-driven company. So today's update references testing your MSRP software. So explain MSRP and how that impacts your business.
Sure. So, one of the reasons that we feel that there's a barrier to entry for people getting into this industry is because it's hard. It's a lot of hard work, and there's a lot of things at play that you need to have the technology and the infrastructure to do. So since we're a young, small, nimble company, we said, listen, let's work smarter, not harder. And, we're all, not all of us, but, in our core group, we have a bunch of technologists, myself included. And again, we're problem solving type of people. We like doing that. So we developed our own piece of technology. We call it MSRP. And MSRP is everything from an ordering system, invoicing, POs, inventory management. That's on the back end. And then on the front end, we have, the reason it's called MSRP is multiple site replicating platform. It kind of was a, double entendre, or however you say that. And we can launch, dozens, hundreds, if not thousands of websites that are based on what's called the headless commerce platform. So we have a centralized database of a product. We don't sell Snapple, but let's assume that we did. And in our back end, we would put all the pictures, videos, images, reviews, size, color, SKUs, et cetera, everything about the product description, and it resides in one spot. And then we call that and display that on all the other websites. But that's not that exciting. But what's exciting is if we change the price here, it's affected on all the other websites. The old-fashioned way of doing that without headless commerce is if you had, 500 websites out there, you had to go to every single website individually and update everything individually. So now we have a lot of tools to make that possible. But the real value in MSRP for us today is not necessarily on the e-commerce site, our e-commerce side, but it's really on our infrastructure side. So, arming our drivers with, a tablet, and they can go out to a stop and they can check everything off. And then again, they put the inventory and they just sign off on it. That's being deployed with 3 of our drivers right now. I think it's about 100 stores. Don't quote me on that. I'm not the operations guy, but we're going to see how that goes over the next 2-3 weeks, constantly tweaking. And these are our more experienced drivers and our very patient drivers. And once we get that to where we think it's scalable, bam, we're going to roll it out to every driver in the country, and then we're going to start adopting that. Now, well, that's minutia stuff that you guys don't care about, but we solved another major problem of getting rid of paper altogether. So before, we had to have an external printer, which we still have, print that out and then hand that to the store manager. But now we're trying to do it all digitally and then just email it out to the appropriate department. So what that does for us, though, because then you're probably wondering, well, why do we care about that? Well, I care about that as an operator, but because it helps streamline our operation and our business. But more importantly, it helps us from an inventory management, which is crucial, because when we have products all over the place, it's hard to manage that, especially with different warehouses. In our case, we call them regional hubs and mini hubs. So now we have a tool that can manage all that stuff for us. It's not quite real time, but once we get the PDI and the EDI integrations with our different customers, it will be pretty close to real time. So it's going to help us out, and it's going to make us a lot more efficient. Everything from how long is each driver at each stop? Well, if you're at 12, if one driver is an average of 12 minutes and most drivers are at 9, how do we get you down to 9? So it gives us tools and data that we never would really have without it. So we're really excited to get that fully launched.
Sounds like a turnkey model. Brett, let's do some math real quick. So you have a target
calculator. I can't do math without a calculator. Go ahead.
I'm going to let you do the math, and I'm just going to state it. So tell me if I'm correct. 258 locations on this new program by year end, and you're generating around 2,100 per store in monthly sales. So that's roughly 540,000 gross revenue per month. Is that correct?
Yeah, well, the 259 is where we're at now. We have more stores coming online at the end of the year, but just to use those numbers, yeah, that's about right. A little over $6 million a year run rate. So not bad from 400,000 5-6 months ago.
Right. So, I mean, you've described your region hub, mini hub model. Do you see GPOX adding more regional hubs to grow nationally? Talk a little bit about that. I know you launched in Texas and New Mexico as well. What happens after that?
Yeah, so we're in Texas. That was our initial pilot program for our first 100 stores to launch and introduce this white glove DSD service. We have 118 stores in Texas that are coming online. I don't know if it's this week or next week. Then once that's done, we have another 123 in New Mexico. The beautiful thing is, we don't need to get any more sales. We have, we have pretty much everything we need to be successful for the whole calendar year of 2024, just by rolling out our existing product services with our existing customer base. So we're pretty excited about that. But we have massive growth coming down the future. And yes, we want to open up more regional and more mini hubs all across the country. I mean, we're not going to be complacent. No one's going to slow down. We're excited with this model, and we know that we have something that's really, a unique value proposition that most companies like mine can't, offer to these specialty retailers. So we want to run before other people see what we're doing. I think the barriers to entry of doing what we're doing is very high, because it's, we've got a lot of time and money invested into our infrastructure and we always knew we wanted to be a national and, God willing, a global company. Let's start national first. But we have a pretty good coverage now. We're in 12 states, but we need to get more efficient in those 12 states. And then we want to enter into an acquisitive growth strategy again and find the next betterment, find the next distribution that's close to where we are in, Texas, New Mexico, Oklahoma, Wyoming, South Dakota, Iowa, Kansas. That's where we are now, and missing a couple of states. But then we want to just keep going east. Forget California. California's got their own issues, but we want to keep going east where there's a lot of opportunity.
Fantastic. And last question for you. You have products with higher margins. So tell us about some of those products.
Sure. So we have, when we distribute products, sell products, we put them in one of 3 buckets, right? The first category is GPOX brands. Those are brands we own. They could be a value brand or they could be a premium brand. Then we have licensed brands. So we're really excited about, most people are familiar with Yuengling's, the brewery. It's the oldest brewery in the U.S. Most people don't know this, but during Prohibition, they started another company to make, dairy products, and they've been making ice cream for over 100 years. Now, I'm from upstate New York, so we kind of grew up with Yuengling's ice cream, and we've entered into a licensing deal with them to license the Yuengling's ice cream brand, and more importantly, their iconic ice cream flavors. We're doing a whole recreational hemp line with them. So that's going to be rolling out. So that's our licensed brand. And then we have our partner brands, which are just brands that we go out and again, we vet, we make sure they're best in class, best in breed. And then we represent those products, but we don't own them.
Fantastic. We'll talk about.
But I'm sorry, I didn't answer your question, Anna. But okay. The margins, the highest margins are going to be in the GPOX brands, and that's what we're starting to introduce now.
Well, congratulations, Brett. I mean, talk about a growth trajectory. You are hitting it, and this is a really good news update. So we're very happy for you. Thank you for joining us.
Well, thank you, Anna. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you all for watching.